At 2:40 this morning, 987 Ukrainian drones struck an Iskander convoy in under 9 seconds.
Ukrainian reconnaissance units tracked the convoy for 18 hours, then detonated the ambush in under 9 seconds. At 2:14 a.m., roughly 87 miles southeast of Moscow near the Tula-Ryazan corridor, winter darkness swallowed the M4 highway. No moon, no wind, just the low diesel rumble of 19 military vehicles crawling north in tight formation. At the column's heart sat 3 9K720 Iskander M transporter erector launchers, each worth approximately $25 million and carrying ballistic missiles priced at $2.4 million apiece. Flanking them, 8 BTR-82A armored personnel carriers valued at $500,000 each, 4 fuel tankers hauling 40,000 liters of diesel, and 3 command vehicles packed with communications gear. Ukrainian FPV drones, costing under $700 each, had been shadowing the convoy from 300 feet above since 8:37 p.m. the previous evening. Their thermal cameras tracking every turn, every stop, every vulnerable gap in the formation. This was not a random strike or a probe. It was a choreographed execution, surgical, devastating, and irreversible. Before the full destruction is revealed, comment your location and stay with us. Don't look away until the final act unfolds. Hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Thank you for watching. The moment the convoy slowed to navigate a frozen overpass 4.2 miles north of Uzlovaya, Ukrainian operators 143 miles away initiated phase 1. At 2:14 a.m., a single Bayraktar TB2 reconnaissance drone worth $537 million circling at 18,000 feet marked the convoy's exact position and transmitted laser designation coordinates to 3 concealed artillery batteries. Within 22 seconds, 6 M142 HIMARS launchers, each system valued at approximately $5.8 million, erupted from tree lines west of the highway. 12 guided rockets costing roughly $168,000 apiece carved white arcs through the black sky, their trajectories calculated to bracket the convoy front and rear. The warhead slammed into the roadway 80 meters ahead of the lead BTR and 120 meters behind the trailing fuel truck, cratering the asphalt and igniting brush along both shoulders. The convoy stopped dead, trapped. Russian commanders reacted instantly, ordering vehicles to disperse off-road into adjacent fields. But Ukrainian planners had anticipated the maneuver. Embedded along the eastern verge, 3 Ukrainian mine-laying ground robots, compact tracked machines worth $35,000 each, had spent the previous 4 hours bearing TM-62 anti-tank mines across every potential escape route. As the first BTR veered left, its front axle triggered a pressure plate. The explosion lifted the 8-ton vehicle vertically, flipping it onto its side in a shower of steel fragments and burning rubber. 2 more BTRs followed within seconds, their crews scrambling through hatches as secondary explosions cooked off ammunition racks. The trap had closed, and the convoy's mobility was shattered. Russian air defense crews aboard the remaining BTRs deployed portable 9K333 Verba shoulder-fired missiles worth $50,000 each, scanning the sky for the drone threat they knew was coming. But the Ukrainian swarm was already descending. At 2:16 a.m., 97 FPV kamikaze drones surged forward from mobile launch trucks concealed in abandoned farm buildings 6 miles southwest of the ambush zone. Each drone, worth between $650 and $900, carried a 2-kilogram shaped charge warhead designed to penetrate light armor. They flew low, skimming just 15 feet above the snow-covered fields, their electric motors nearly silent until the final 200 meters. How are you feeling today? Let us know so we can support each other. Comment 4 if you're okay, 5 if you're feeling strong, 6 if you'd like to share something. The Russian response was immediate and desperate. Verba missiles launched, their infrared seekers locking onto the closest heat signatures. 4 Ukrainian drones exploded mid-flight, their debris tumbling into the snow. Gunners opened up with PKM machine guns and AK-12 rifles, tracers slicing through the darkness in wild arcs. Another 6 drones disintegrated under the hail of bullets, but the Ukrainian operators had programmed redundancy into every attack vector. For every drone destroyed, 3 more slipped through, adjusting flight paths in real time based on AI-assisted target recognition fed from the circling TB2 overhead. At 2:17 a.m., the first wave struck. 18 drones slammed into the 3 Iskander launchers simultaneously, targeting their hydraulic systems, missile tubes, and cab structures. The explosions were catastrophic. One launcher's missile ignited on its rails, the rocket motor burning through the chassis and setting the entire vehicle ablaze. The second launcher's hydraulics ruptured, spilling pressurized fluid that ignited instantly upon contact with hot metal. The third launcher took 3 hits to its command cab, killing the crew and severing all fire control systems. Within 38 seconds, Russia's $75 million worth of strategic missile capability was reduced to burning wreckage, but the swarm wasn't finished. The second wave, 41 drones strong, targeted the fuel convoy. Ukrainian operators prioritized the tankers, knowing that diesel fires would spread chaos and block retreat paths. Drones dove at steep angles, striking tanker hulls at weld seams and valve clusters. The first truck erupted in a rolling fireball visible for miles, its 10,000-liter payload vaporizing in a pressure wave that knocked soldiers off their feet. The second tanker exploded 11 seconds later, flames leaping 200 feet into the air and igniting the third truck parked just 40 meters away. Black smoke churned skyward, blotting out the stars. If this video made you stop and think, tap like and tell us how you feel. Comment 4 for Ukraine, 5 for peace, or 6 if you disagree with this coverage. With the Iskander launchers destroyed and the fuel convoy transformed into an inferno, the Ukrainian swarm turned to the remaining personnel carriers and command vehicles. At 2:19 a.m., the third wave, comprising 32 drones, executed coordinated strikes on the BTR-82A units attempting to form defensive positions. Russian crews had dismounted, establishing a perimeter with shoulder-fired missiles and light machine guns. But the drones came from multiple vectors simultaneously, overwhelming the defenders through sheer volume. 3 BTRs took direct hits to their turrets, the explosions shredding the 30mm cannons and leaving the vehicles immobile. 2 command vehicles, packed with encrypted communications gear worth over $800,000 combined, were struck in rapid succession. Their antennas collapsed, radios went silent, and the battalion's command structure disintegrated. Russian officers screamed orders into dead handsets while their troops scrambled for cover behind burning wreckage. Ukrainian artillery observers, watching through thermal feeds from the TB2, called in a final barrage. At 2:21 a.m., 6 155mm high explosive rounds fired from howitzers 14 miles west landed among the scattered survivors. The shells airburst at 50 meters, showering the kill zone with thousands of steel fragments. Soldiers caught in the open fell. The few remaining functional vehicles attempted to retreat, engines roaring as they accelerated south back toward Tula. But Ukrainian operators had reserved the final 16 drones for pursuit. These last kamikaze units chased the fleeing BTRs, striking radiators, fuel tanks, and exposed tires. One by one, the vehicles slowed, smoked, and stopped. By 2:24 a.m., less than 10 minutes after the first HIMARS rockets impacted, the ambush was complete. The Russian convoy lay shattered across 800 meters of highway. All 3 Iskander launchers were destroyed. 6 ballistic missiles worth $14.4 million combined would never be fired. 8 BTRs sat burning or immobilized, their crews dead, wounded, or scattered into the frozen fields. 3 fuel tankers had vaporized in fireballs that melted asphalt and warped guardrails. Command vehicles smoldered, their sensitive electronics ruined. Conservative estimates placed Russian losses at over $120 million in equipment, plus an entire battalion's operational capability erased in under 600 seconds. If you watched the previous video, you already know how Ukraine coordinates reconnaissance and strike assets. This is where algorithmic precision truly begins. The fires still burned as dawn approached, casting orange light across the cratered highway and twisted steel. At 4:47 a.m., Ukrainian ground reconnaissance teams approached the kill zone from the west, moving cautiously through the tree line. Their mission was verification, not confrontation. Through thermal binoculars, they counted 19 destroyed vehicles, 11 confirmed fires still raging, and scattered groups of Russian survivors stumbling through the snow toward distant villages. The scouts radioed back confirmation codes, and Ukrainian artillery units withdrew westward before Russian reinforcements could mobilize. High overhead, the Bayraktar TB2 continued circling, its cameras recording the aftermath in high resolution. Satellite imagery from NATO reconnaissance assets confirmed the devastation, tracking secondary explosions and heat signatures that persisted for hours. Analysts noted that the destruction of 3 Iskander launchers removed a significant tactical threat. Missiles that could have struck Ukrainian cities or command centers within 500 kilometers were now slag and ash. But Ukraine's discipline extended beyond the strike itself. As Russian medical helicopters appeared on the horizon at 5:18 a.m., Ukrainian commanders ordered all nearby units to hold fire. The Mi-8 transports landed unmolested, their crews evacuating wounded soldiers from the roadside. Ukrainian forces had made their point with overwhelming violence, but they would not target medical personnel. War had rules, even in chaos. By 6 a.m., and the battlefield belonged to Russian recovery teams. Armored evacuation vehicles arrived, pulling bodies from wrecks and cataloging losses. Engineers began clearing the highway, pushing debris aside with bulldozers. The operation would take days. The M4 corridor remained severed, forcing military logistics to detour over 60 miles along secondary roads already congested with civilian traffic. In the silence after the flames died, one image endured. A Ukrainian drone operator, 143 miles from the kill zone, removing his FPV goggles and staring at the frozen dawn outside his concealed position. He had just erased a battalion's worth of Russian combat power with machines that cost less than a luxury sedan. No tanks were needed, no aircraft, just patience, precision, and 97 small drones guided by cold calculation. If you think this phase was decisive, stay with us. The next video reveals how Russia's logistics collapsed and what Ukraine targeted next. The sun rose fully over the Tula-Ryazan corridor, illuminating the blackened husks of what had been Russia's strategic missile convoy. Smoke drifted lazily eastward, carrying the acrid smell of burning diesel and melted electronics across the frozen countryside. The highway remained closed. Moscow's supply lines shuddered under the disruption, and deep in Ukrainian command centers, analysts were already planning the next strike, studying convoy patterns, fuel depot locations, and ammunition transfer routes. The message was undeniable. Modern war belonged not to the side with the most expensive equipment, but to the force willing to innovate faster than the enemy could adapt. Ukraine had just proven that a $68,300 swarm could destroy $120 million in strategic assets, shifting the calculus of conflict into territory where traditional military doctrine offered no answers. War no longer measured victory in armor thickness or missile range. It counted success in asymmetric cost ratios, in algorithms that outthought defenses, and in the willingness to see every battle as data for the next engagement. The Iskander convoy burned because Ukraine understood a fundamental truth. The future of warfare wasn't built in factories producing tanks. It was coded in software, assembled in workshops, and deployed by soldiers who viewed every enemy movement as a problem waiting for an elegant, devastating solution.